Donald Trump's secret deal with Iran during the war has been exposed over ICE and Border Patrol deportations with the Iranian regime. Did Donald Trump do a deal with the Ayatollah and the Islamic Republic before invading Iran, where Trump and the Ayatollah were working cooperatively for Trump to deport Iranians back to Iran? And who knows what happened to them because they were asylum seekers here in the United States. So was Donald Trump and the Ayatollah, the person that Donald Trump then killed? Now it's run by Ayatollah's son, Ayatollah Mojtaba. Were they working together to bring Iranian dissidents back to Iran to potentially then get killed? As Donald Trump also was yelling at Australia for not giving the Iranian women's soccer team asylum there, or Donald Trump threatening the life of the Iranian soccer players if they show up for the World Cup here. This gets very unusual, folks, but Politico did a great story on it. So Kyle Cheney reports that ICE had been working, ICE, America's ICE, okay, has been working with their counterparts, IRGC, right? ICE, Gestapo, IRGC, Iranian Revolutionary Guard, to arrange deportation flights as recently as like late February. It's like a few weeks ago, and indicated to the court that one was scheduled for today, this weekend, that has now been called off. And I'll show you the reason why how they described to the judge the reason. They said, I won't bury the lead. They said the reason it was called off is not because like we're at war, they're going to kill the people, because it would be difficult to land right now, given the current circumstance. Difficult to land the airplane. Why don't you just say that we're at war with Iran right now, and that if you send the people, they're going to die? Why even write it like this? So we got to dig into the story. A man who was supposedly to be on this flight now got out of ICE custody. Here's how it's reported. Several deportation flights to Iran have occurred since late last year, even as the Trump administration's relationship with Tehran grew more bellicose. By the way, don't you just like, it's a good story, but like, what do you mean grew more bellicose? It's just a funny word to use, bellicose. And others were under discussion as recently as February. So right before we invaded Iran, we were working with them. You want this person back, you want this person back, you want that person back. In fact, the Trump regime indicated in court papers that a charter flight had been scheduled for this week, only to be called off because of, quote, removal flights to Iran have temporarily ceased, it said. But on Thursday, the Trump administration conceded that one man who obtained an Iranian passport and was scheduled to be deported back this month should be released because this way they're describing it, there's no significant likelihood of removal in the reasonably foreseeable future. The administration euphemistically has been telling judges that, quote, recent airspace closures in the region are derailing some of the imminent deportations to Iran. I want to call in Harry Litman from the Talking Feds YouTube channel, Talking Feds Substack, and Talking Feds podcast. Because Harry, first off, this deal between the U.S. and Iran to deport Iranians here, why are they here? Because they were seeking asylum from the Islamic Republic. And the Trump regime would find them wherever they are, say you're not an asylum seeker, even though they were, and they'd send them back to Iran. What happened when they got back? Because the reason they were here is like, if you send us back, it's a death sentence for us. That's the argument they made. And the Trump regime would say, we don't believe you. We don't think your asylum claims are valid. Even if your asylum claims are valid, you should not assert your asylum claims once you get here. You should have made the claim, before you died, in Iran, and then we could have decided. So whether it was on procedural grounds or substantive, we don't believe you grounds, or whatever, there was a parking ticket in the past, whatever the pretext was, or just, the Trump regime not following the law, which they do quite frequently. They'd be sending these people back to Iran. When the story is written about these deportations, I am quite confident, and this is very dark to say, but there are likely tens of thousands of people, potentially more, hundreds of thousands, who may have been killed by regimes like Iran and others who were valid asylum seekers or trying to seek asylum, who were sent back and then swiftly killed by the regimes from which they fled. that will be a sad chapter. It's happening now, but I have no doubt that you and I in a few years will be doing stories on that. Regardless, Harry, Trump, Islamic Republic, working together on these deportations. And now in the court documents, euphemistically, the airspace closures are preventing it from happening. I mean, what world are we living in here, Harry?
How low can you go? How cruel, how bloodthirsty. One of the reasons there have been 7 proffered for going into Iran is regime change, because it is such a cruel, vicious regime. It's already killing millions of people who are still there. That's where we want to send people who have already left, knowing and proving that they have asylum claims and they are going surely to be killed here. There's this kind of extra element of just flat out cruelty. It's like where their past cruelty. Yeah, we don't like Iran and foreign nationals, but if they can torture people and then kill them, oh, that's our kind of immigrant receiving country. It puts in mind really the story here, I think, Ben, is how the absolute nastiness of the immigration initiative trumps, excuse the expression, everything going on. We've seen things like this. Abrego Garcia case, where they just insist on not sending him back to where he says he'll go, Costa Rica. They want to send him to the newest democracy in the world, a very safe place, South Sudan or Liberia, a place that everyone knows is a complete jungle, and he would be very likely immediately torn limb from limb. That's actually a plus to this administration, to be able to send people to places where they're going to be completely tortured, maybe killed, just as you say. So imagine these sort of secret or not so secret kind of discussions and negotiations. Yeah, we know we're being a little hard on you in the military setting, but you are just our kind of regime to take back. And wouldn't you love, by the way, to have these people back in your clutches who fled from you because they were enemies of the regime. Here we go. We'll send them back to you like flies in a spider's web, and you can do with it as you want. It really seems almost like a net plus for these guys on the immigration side is being able to send people where there will be maximum suffering. This is a chapter, and that is cross-cutting, but it's the ultimate kind of irony and illustration, right? As we make war on Iran and say what a terrible regime they are, we're saying, oh, here's some of your dissidents back. Do with them as you will.
Reminds me of a child who shouldn't be playing with fireworks for the first time, and then exploding, and then, wow, that's really loud, and then shocked about what the fireworks could do, and then getting too close to the fireworks that there's these injuries that happening. It's so much of the Trump regime strategy. I don't want to call it strategy because it is that. So much of what they're doing in this war is promoting the strength of the bombs and what the weapons do, as though they're shocked that we have developed these types of weaponry that can bomb and kill and maim and blow up and cluster and burrow and do all of these things that we know the weapons can do. And to me, a sign of strength, whether it was in litigation, when you and I were litigators, whether it's in life, is never to go around bragging about how tough and how powerful and I'm so strong. It was always weak people in any profession who would have to go out and say those things, because a strong person was calm and confident. And so I'm bringing this up because what Donald Trump's been doing, here on the legal side of things, the torture, the enjoyment of sending people to their death, in Iran, is also how they've carried out this war in Iran by emphasizing the death, and we loiter in the air, we destroy, we kill you.
Right, Pete
and
ultimately,
right. What Iran does is they use that for their own counter propaganda, and they go, see how they're behaving. We told you this is what they were saying. And so it plays right into it. And so there's no coherent strategy. It's working with the Ayatollah, cutting deals to send the dissidents back to be killed, then bragging about the weapons when killing the Ayatollah, and then not being able to kind of handle when you get it back from the other side and saying, oh, it's unfair that you've closed the Strait of Hormuz and this, that, and the other, which is a very difficult, problematic thing. But it's also like, yeah, you started a war. What do you think when you say you're going to kill everybody? What do you think the reaction is going to be? I'll let you get the last word, Harry.
Look, the soul and cornerstone of this program from the start has been cruelty, has been maximizing human suffering. Remember how this all broke and we first heard about it about a year ago, March 15th. They were insistent, law be damned, on sending people to a hellhole in El Salvador, where we especially contracted to send people. Really, what was the point of it? It was to maximize suffering. And remember, again, there were bipartisan proposals that would have passed the House and Senate and would have provided for more humane or just professional treatment of deportees even. And Donald Trump said what? He ordered his Republican cohorts in the House and Senate, don't do it. I want to run against Kamala Harris on this very issue. So it's really been and then, of course, there's the bloodthirsty rhetoric and the supposed murderers, rapists, and eaters of pets that he says the immigration initiative is going after. There really has always been this kind of nasty, savage, almost, third grade pulling wings off flies and decapitating animals and stuff aspect of this. And it is not a corollary. It's the very heart of what they're doing. How can we treat people as inhumanely as possible, make them suffer, and make them show to the world that we are not just tough, but completely cruel. That's what this initiative's been from the beginning.
Everybody, make sure you subscribe to Harry Litman's YouTube channel. It's called Talking Feds. Go search Talking Feds right now. Subscribe over there. Subscribe to Talking Feds Substack and Talking Feds podcast as well. Thanks, Harry.
Hey, thanks, Ben.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.